And we'll call the Barron County Board of Supervisors for Monday, May 15th, 2023 into order and have roll call. So Bob and Stacy and Marv aren't here. Who's this one? Oh, Gary. This one's Gary's here.
Marv's not here. Stacy's not here and Bob's not here. So you're gonna have 26.
Right. See, Stacy's not here, Bob's not here, and Marv's not here, so
Here's your three.
26 to. Go ahead. Okay. Are you announcing that or me?
We have 26 present and 3 absent. Absent are Bob Anderson, Newman, and Thompson.
Okay. Public notification.
Wendy Coleman, my executive assistant, has complied with the Wisconsin open meeting requirements. Meeting agendas have been posted on electronic meeting notice boards located on the first and second floor of the Government Center and the first floor of the Justice Center. Hard copy of the meeting agenda has been posted in the county clerk's office, and she has verified the proper posting of this meeting. This is the county board meeting for May 15th, and this agenda and accompaniments were posted on May 10th at 1:32 p.m.
Okay, the invocation will be Pastor Paul Poppy from the Faith Baptist Church in Chautauqua.
Micah 6:8 says, "He has told you, O man, what is good, and what does the Lord require of you but to do justice and to love mercy and to walk humbly with your God." Let's pray. Father, thank you for your goodness towards us. Thank you that you, Father, are just, that you have sent your Son to redeem us from our sins. And I thank you, Lord, that we can come to you and know what justice is all about, and we know about your mercy. And I pray that we'd walk humbly with you today. And I pray for this body of civil servants. Excuse me. I pray that you will bless the decisions that are made. I pray that you will bless the responsibilities that are undertaken. I pray for your goodness and for your forgiveness in relationships. And I pray, Lord, that when there are differing opinions, that those things could be worked through in a way that is humble and honoring towards you. Thank you for this country that you have given us. I pray that we will honor you in the way that we handle our responsibilities. Thank you for those that are here that give of their time and of their resources for the benefit of those that live in Barron County. Thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, item number 3. I imagine some of you have read or heard that Supervisor Vaughn and I had a disagreement, and the way it should work out is she and I met along with some other people, and it was a very productive meeting. And at the end of that meeting, we both shook hands and both asked each other to move forward. Is that a fair assessment, Supervisor? Okay. All right. Gary, you also had something?
Yes, I just handed out a information sheet from the Wisconsin Regional, Wisconsin Western Regional Planning Commission, that there's going to be a couple of workshops, one in Owen, Wisconsin, one in Clear Lake, and it's about renovation of your old downtown buildings. And I think it should be interesting if you have, I'm sure all of you have old downtown buildings, and if you can find somebody that would be interested to go to this, I think it's well worth it. They have an attorney there. They're going to have an attorney speak about it. Downtown design specialist, the senior downtown development director, and a project manager talk about how to renovate these old buildings that are just more of an eyesore than anything else. So it's $15 to cost to attend, and I encourage you to spread the
That
word.
includes lunch though, right, Gary?
Pardon?
That includes lunch.
That includes lunch. No beer, just lunch. Yeah, 20 for beer.
Thanks, Gary. Okay, item number 4, approve the agenda. We will not have a closed session regarding the highway. The attorneys for CBS Squared and our attorneys have been talking to each other quite a bit and writing nice letters to each other, and we've decided that we're going to mediate this matter, and once we get to a plan of attack or we spend significant dollars toward that 4.6, we'll definitely inform the board so you know what the heck's going on. So could I get a motion to approve the agenda without the closed session? Motion by Supervisor Banks, seconded by Supervisor Cook. I'm doing it the wrong way. I was looking instead of doing it on here. Sorry, everybody. John, I gotta go. Motion by Supervisor Cook and seconded by Supervisor Patty Anderson. Any questions or concerns? If not, all is in favor indicate by, hit the button, I mean. Starting out bad today. Did you vote yet, Jer? Okay, that motion was approved, 26 yes and 3 absent. Number 5, approve the minutes of the April 18th, 2023 meeting. Motion by Supervisor Mosentine, second by Supervisor Langman. Any concerns or questions about the minutes? Seeing none, we'll vote. Okay, again, it's 26 yes and 3 absent, so the minutes are approved. Item number 6 is public comment, and we have 2 of them. First up will be Pastor Paul Poppy.
In light of Chairman Oakey's statement about the resolution of his discussion with Superintendent Vaughn, I'll withdraw my comment at this time, and thank you.
Okay, thank you. Patty Green. Okay, thanks, Patty. Okay, item number 7, presentation on the University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire, Rice Lake campus, Chancellor James Schmidt. Welcome, Chancellor.
Thank you, and good evening to everyone. Thank you for inviting me back. It's been a few years. I came in, I barely knew where I was. I was used to the stage up there, and you've gotten fancy since that whole COVID thing came around. So for those of you who was anyone here not, well, for those of you who weren't here before, my name again is Jim Schmidt. Please call me Jim. I've been Chancellor at UW-Eau Claire for 10 years. A little bit of background, I grew up in a small farming community in southeastern Minnesota, a little town of 1,000, where my mom was a school teacher and my dad had a small business. And so I feel like I'm coming home anytime I can come into some of these small communities. It feels like real folks, people who have a great deal of pride in their community, people who care and are willing to invest in the future of those communities that they serve. And I want to start by thanking this board and previous boards who decided that an investment in a UW campus in Barron County was important. And I'm here to tell you that we take that investment seriously, and I hope that you believe in the 5 years that we've been joining at UW Eau Claire. I want you to know that we steward it as an important asset of the university, of the state, and more importantly for this region. I understand that you had a wonderful presentation by Abby Fisher, who's the campus director, only a month ago. So the good news is that my speech can be shorter since I know she already covered quite a bit. I want to also introduce Vice Chancellor for Enrollment Management, Billy Fells, who's with me today as well. Billy is up on campus how often? At least once a month, and we have a rotation of administrators from the Eau Claire campus who are regularly at the Barron County campus to make sure we're keeping things up to speed. A couple things that I think that you should be proud of as a region. First thing you should be proud of is that this campus has been well managed. This campus, as a 2-year campus, has been in the black every year since it's joined UW Eau Claire. It's one of very few 2-year campuses that are in that position. The other thing that I think that you should take some pride in is there's been a huge demographic shift. If you take a look across the country, 2-year campuses just in the last 3 years are down more than 15% in enrollment. And if you localize that to the upper Midwest, that number is closer to 30%. And if you look at the Wisconsin schools, it's far lower than that even. Anyone want to guess what's happened to enrollment at UW Eau Claire, Barron County in the last 3 years? We're up. Now it's 1 student, but I'm proud to say we are up in our enrollment. That's been through the dedicated work of all the faculty and staff who work at that campus. We've tried to be very creative at UW Eau Claire. One of the creative issues that we took advantage of at UW Eau Claire was the beginning of the launch program, and I know Abby talked a little bit about that. I know we have a few blue golds in the group. Can I get a show of hands, those of you who attended either the UW Eau Claire Barron County campus in one of its previous names or the Eau Claire campus, just to get some sense? I knew we had a lot of good blue golds here. Smart group. But UW Eau Claire has been short of housing since 1971. We've had to use hotels for the better part of 50 years. But through some careful work and planning and investments of our foundation, we've actually built up our housing stock. So we actually ended up with a small surplus of housing on our campus. And we said, I think we could figure out a way to help the Barron County campus with this. So we have students who want to go to UW Eau Claire, but we tend to be a little bit more selective of an institution. You know, we're not maybe as selective as Madison, but we're more selective than most of the other 4-year campuses. And so imagine we get a young person who saw our marching band perform at the Viking Stadium, which they do once a year. We need to be invited to the Green Bay facility, by the way. If you could get a little plug in with any owners of Green Bay stock, let me know. We'll be there. But maybe a kid in the suburbs, Lakeville, Minnesota, says, I need to be a part of, by the way, it's the world's largest marching band. It's almost 500 people. It makes a lot of noise, and it's pretty awesome. And if this kid from Farmington, Minnesota, or Lakeville, Minnesota, saw that band and applied to UW Eau Claire, and we decide, you know, they could use a little extra help before they jump into the deep water at UW Eau Claire, what we used to do is say, congratulations, we've admitted you to our Barron County campus, because we do that. And then the student looks for, where is that? And they're like, well, where's the marching band? So that's at Eau Claire. So this launch program invites them to come and stay at the Eau Claire campus because that's what they want. In the past, if we just said go to Rice Lake, they'd say, that's okay, I'll go to Mankato. They have a marching band there. But they come to Eau Claire, and they're taught entirely by UW Eau Claire Barron County faculty. They make trips to Eau Claire, they stay in a small cohort. Those faculty are used to helping students who maybe need a little bit of extra lift, smaller class sizes, lower tuition. Can you believe I'm out offering people an opportunity to pay us less in tuition? What kind of guy would do that? Not somebody who stays in business very long. They stay on our campus, they pay Barron County tuition, and then they pay Eau Claire activity fees so they can be a part of the marching band. Why is that important to Barron County? Because that keeps more Barron County faculty employed. So that means those faculty members might be teaching 2 classes in Eau Claire, but they're back in Rice Lake teaching 2 or 3 classes in Rice Lake. It's really important when the school gets to this size that it keep its viability. What you've seen at the other 2-year campuses has been a downward spiral, and it's really hard to come out of a downward spiral. By maintaining the number of faculty and staff who are based here, that means that those same faculty are offering courses that we may not be able to teach in Barron County otherwise. I had one of our retirees come up to us and say, is there any chance we could hire a music faculty? I've heard people say, could we hire a theater professor? You know, get back to some of those fuller classes. Well, this is about trying to make sure that we have enough critical mass of students who are paying into the tuition fund to allow us to hire those. So I just want to say that that launch program has created an opportunity. It's not the only path forward. I want to run by you the 5 things that I think we can do to ensure a bright future for this campus. The first is maintaining that launch program. We have about 75 students who are living in Eau Claire and paying all of their tuition here. That's a lot of students for this size of a campus. The other piece is a little bit of news. So that was a cue to the chronotype to me paying attention. I'm subtle, you'll learn that about me. So just this morning, so it's hot off the presses, we submitted an official request to the UW system to begin offering a 4-year degree that would be available here. So the degree is a Bachelor of Science in Professional Studies. The reason we'd be able to move quickly, hoping to be able to do this as early as this fall, is because we had the degree before. It was a trial balloon that we floated before I got to Eau Claire. It was meant to reach out to students who maybe have taken classes other places, but it just wasn't structured very well when we based it only in Eau Claire. And we stopped offering the program about 6 years ago, maybe. So, but it's still on the books. It's just been suspended. So we've requested to resurface the program, but we've done some new tinkering. I'm a believer that if you find yourself behind the competition, we shouldn't spend all kinds of energy to catch up. Let's leapfrog the competition. So when we find out that we're not doing everything we can to help meet students where they are, say maybe they went to the technical college when it was still called the VOTEC, remember those days? 20 years ago. Maybe they picked up some classes at Madison that didn't work out for them. Life happens. You know, we meet people, we start families, we have business opportunities, we maybe need to go help a loved one who's ill, so we end up dropping or stopping out of college. So this program will be very flexible. Again, it's not all finalized, but I believe we can look forward to it being offered in the fall. So imagine you had a 1 or 2 year degree from Northwood Technical College. This program would actually allow you to transfer in all of the credits instead of the limited amount in most of our degree programs. It will allow you to kind of design your own program meant to be very flexible, therefore called professional studies. You'd be able to complete your degree 100% online. You can take classes at UW-Barron County in person. You could take classes in UW-Eau Claire if you choose to in person. And then there'd be online or hybrid offerings as well. So the 4-year degree has been one of the things this campus has been working to get put back in place. And by having it be a BS degree, please know, comments about that, versus the old BAAS degree that used to be offered here, the BS degree is far more recognizable and opens more doors for more students. So we believe that'll be a great opportunity. The other piece that we've done a lot better work with is opening up more opportunities with high schools. I think you know that this campus has always excelled in offering good dual enrollment high school programs. So while a student is maybe in a small school district like I was, without a foreign language being taught like at my school, you can pick up those courses through a dual enrollment program that gives those students not only opportunities to classes that their small school district may not offer, and earn credit with the high school, but you can earn credit with the colleges as well. And Minnesota, frankly, has done a really good job with this. They've had the post-secondary enrollment options program since the late 80s. And most students who attend UW-Eau Claire from Minnesota bring in an average of 17 college credits already completed. That saves money and saves time, helps students get through more quickly. And so we're putting a lot more energy. Here's another benefit of working with UW-Eau Claire. In the past, UW-Eau Claire has not been involved with these programs. And I said to you 5 years ago when I was here that we're going to rely on the talents of what we have in Barron County and learn from them. And so what we've done is we've opened a whole southern group of high schools who we hope will now begin working through UW-Eau Claire, leaning on the talent at Barron County. Again, that helps to justify faculty lines, that helps to allow more options for students while they're here. The fourth piece of our strategy, let's say counting has always been a little bit of an issue for me. I think it's still only the third one, is that Abby has been far more involved in doing some business outreach. I want to spend a little time on this. We have a great opportunity to sell the advantages of remaining in Barron County. You know that when an 18-year-old leaves a rural community, like me, the chances of us going back is not very good. And so right now you have a lot of kids leaving high school who are faced with the challenge. Gee, the job market's really good. And I could make 15, 20, 25 bucks an hour and not have to go to college. And I can make money instead of having it cost money. So that's a real choice we have. When I got out of high school and college, we were kind of going through the 80s recession. It wasn't so good. But now students have choices. But there's some students who might be reluctant to take a job at that level because they say, but that's not what I had in mind for me. If I'm at this local company, kind of working frontline, I don't know if that's what I see for myself. I should really go off to college. So what if you can have the power of and, both? I'm hoping to work strategically with the local business community to figure out a way to try to help students say, hey, come work for our company. Yep, we're going to start you on the ground floor. You might be sweeping the floors, but we're going to invest in you. We're going to help spell out a career path. And if you're interested in working in a professional capacity, we're going to hire you. You'll be sweeping the floors, but you're going to be going to college at the same time. And we're going to help offset that cost because it's still a bargain. Tuition hadn't gone up in Barron County for 12 years. So you hear about skyrocketing costs. It costs about a little more than $5,000 a year to spend an entire year in college at Barron County. I believe there's an opportunity there to work with the local business community. And I had a great conversation with Jeff French earlier today, and we did a little brainstorming. We think there's a whole branding campaign that could be done by working with the local business community, working with local units of government, working with civic leaders who are interested in giving students another choice. I can tell you that if you can give students a good option so they don't feel trapped, you know how young people just want to go stretch their legs? Well, if they feel like they can stretch their legs locally, save some money, and still get a college degree, that could be a real win for many of those students. So I'd like to explore that option with you a little bit further. And finally, the last strategy is around retention. For those of you who've been in some form of business, you know it's better to keep a customer than to have to go find a new customer. And so one of the things that we've done both at the Eau Claire campus, and we're putting greater emphasis at, is making sure that the students who choose to come to school do well, provide the support they need. If they make a commitment to us, we need to make the commitment to them. And we understand life can interrupt that, but let's figure out once they take care of what they need to, that they feel welcomed and they find a path back to the institution to get that opportunity. So with that, I just wanted to give you kind of an upbeat message. You will see a lot in the news about the other two-year colleges in the state aren't doing as well, and most aren't. They're struggling, and I want you to know that as I speak to our colleagues across the state, and they say two-year schools are going down, we need to do something different, I always raise my hand and say, except at Barron County. Enrollment is up at Barron County, and even one's a big deal. I remind them that Barron County plays an unusual role in the state system. Most of the other two-year schools are located in the Madison, Milwaukee area and Northeast area. I said, this is the only public higher education between Eau Claire and Superior. And there's a vast rural area of a network that needs to be served. I would add, finally, we believe the Barron County campus will play a key role in UW-Eau Claire's work to revolutionize rural healthcare and teaching. I think many of you may have read that we received nearly $10 million from the state. We were the first and only awarded in the first round of those grant making. And it's focused on rural teachers, rural social workers, and rural nurses. And our partnership with Mayo Clinic and with Marshfield has said that we've got a lot of great opportunity. And so we view Barron County and this Rice Lake campus as being integral to that strategy. I will stop and be happy to answer any questions.
Anybody have any questions? Supervisor Olson?
Thank you for taking time out of your schedule to speak with us. You referred to the lower tuition at Barron County a couple of times earlier. A few weeks ago, there was news out of Green Bay that they intend to raise the tuition at the, I believe it's two-year campuses affiliated with UW-Eau Claire 3. They intend to raise the tuition so that the tuition at all of them are the same. Any thoughts on that in Eau Claire and Barron County's case?
Yeah, thank you for the question. First of all, I'm a big believer in kind of local control, and one size doesn't fit all. And I have a great deal of respect for the Chancellor of Green Bay. I think he's doing some innovative things. They're choosing to take a one campus model, one university model, where UW-Eau Claire, we're saying we have the selective four-year campus and we have an important open access institution at our Rice Lake campus. And so, in fact, we won't be proposing that. As you heard earlier, even those Barron County students who are physically taking their classes on the Eau Claire campus are paying the much less expensive Barron County rate. So appreciate the question.
Supervisor Moen?
Okay, we have a dire need today for mental health
Yes.
people working in that field. What is the university system doing to help fulfill the void we have? It's really more than we can handle.
Yeah, it's at a critical point. Just as a piece of background, you didn't know this, but my wife is a psychiatric nurse practitioner. And she actually is no longer doing it, but she was actually traveling up to Hayward from Eau Claire to provide those services at one of the clinics up there as well. And so we're in desperate need. We do have a nurse practitioner degree at UW-Eau Claire, and many of the hospitals are implementing a process so that they can be certified in psychiatric help as well. And I think you probably know this, but psychiatric nurse practitioners have all the authority a psychiatrist has, as long as there's a collaborating doctor. And so they prescribe and they do therapy, and they're there meeting those frontline needs. In fact, at one point, our campus has looked at offering a specialty in psychiatric care. We just haven't been able to get the faculty in place at this time, but that's still something very much on my radar. I hear about it every day from my wife.
Is there any provision for, it takes a long time to get into this field, but is there any provision for helping these students financially to get into these fields?
Yeah, that's a great question, and there really should be. We don't have one yet. We do we don't have the program, but we have been trying to raise more money to help offset some of the costs for nursing students in particular. I will say, because of our unique partnership with the Mayo Clinic, focused in Eau Claire, they now actually have a psychiatric residency rotation through Eau Claire. And last I heard, Eau Claire, and because of that, many of those residents have chosen to have their practice there. And so I believe Mayo Clinic is actually fully staffed in the psychiatric area, and they credit the partnership with UW-Eau Claire and that residency. And of course, that still doesn't get it out into the rural part, but at least there's access for some of those patients to be referred to psychiatrists. It's a big problem.
So many of them need attention, not 2 weeks from now, but today.
And I will tell you, we have invested heavily as a campus in counseling care and a new service that's open to Barron County students as well as Eau Claire students. It was an initiative of the UW system, is that there's now an online provider who will do therapy or prescribing. And Mantra is the name of the organization that's providing it. And I say this with some pride. UW Eau Claire on that statewide contract, which includes Barron County, is using that service more than any other campus in the system. And we think it's because we have been more proactive in getting the word out to the students and helping people get comfortable with it. So students have a choice. So if they come into counseling or try to see someone in our health services for psychiatric help, it may be a little bit of a wait, and they say, or you can get help today with this number. I do want you to know, any student that is in crisis and they decide what crisis is, we see them immediately.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question.
Supervisor McRoberts? Jerry, you want to speak into your mic?
I was just speaking with the, before we opened up the meeting here, and anyway, transferable credits.
Yes.
When my children were going to Rice Lake, you know, you couldn't get rid of half the credits, probably, were worthless. Now this, I think, is a wonderful idea, and it would sure help parents, you know, would like to cost it.
Yeah, it'll save some money. We haven't had a chance to talk to President Will at the Tech College, but we plan to have some additional follow-up there, again, to make them aware of how the transferability will work. And UW Eau Claire recently signed an agreement with CVTC so that they have the AA degree directly with us. And two-year campus is a good option. I have 3 sons, they're all different. And for my youngest, he's starting at a 2-year campus. That's a better fit for him. So I come at this from a notion that we have to meet people where they are.
Supervisor Rogers?
UW Eau Claire over the years has had an excellent school of education. Of two-part question: how are the numbers doing in that particular field? And secondly, what can be done to encourage more young people or more people in general to get into education? What used to generate hundreds of applications is now generating just a few applications for that critical field for our youth.
Yeah, thank you for that question. Again, I'm the son of an English teacher in a small rural community of 1,000 people. And teachers are, the lifeblood of most, schools are the lifeblood of most small schools, most small towns, excuse me. People will go to war versus losing their small school in rural areas. And in the past, that had been mostly around enrollment, but I could see a future where it could be because of a shortage of teachers. I'll speak plainly because that's how I am. People need to support teachers. They need to stop. I think the cultural wars are hurtful. We need to value teachers. We had a pastor here. I've got a brother who's a pastor, and we need to show respect for these important cornerstones of our communities. And frankly, we need to do better by their salaries. People will go with their best interest. Now, no one's ever gone into teaching or education to make a great living, but you should be able to have respect, and you should have to have a reasonable living. We have partnerships all over the world with our international students, and when I stop and I visit schools internationally, teachers are held up here in society. They are the top among the top. And so part of it, I think, is the respect. I will tell you that our Workforce Innovation Grant specifically addresses rural teacher shortages. So one of the problems of getting a teacher in a small town is they may be hired into a school, and maybe they're the only new teacher hired in 2 or 3 years, and they look around and there's not many people their age. And so you go into a small town, and when people leave college, that's about the time they're maybe interested in finding a mate or someone they want to hang around with a little bit more. And we have the same thing we hear from counties, that we have social workers that burn out or leave the small rural districts. So with this Workforce Innovation Grant, we have tried to bring rural nurses, rural teachers, and rural social workers to live in a home together. So they have a sense of community, not just among the teachers. And we did a little bonus for those people who agreed to do a student teaching experience in a rural community. We paid for their tuition with the grant. The idea is, you know, if you're from the big city of Eau Claire, or maybe even Minneapolis or Madison, you didn't realize what small town life was like. But they go work in a small community. They realize that parents are involved and supportive of teachers, and that they have good connections, and they decide small town living is actually pretty good. And so if we can expose them to that, maybe there's a chance they'll stay. So we're early on in that grant, but we're taking some efforts to try to do just that.
Supervisor Schradel?
Well, I can probably, from experience, probably not my experience personally, but my wife and I have a large family, so I have 4 daughter-in-laws and 4 sons that are in the teaching field. The one daughter-in-law and the son recently retired, but it's like you alluded to, Chancellor, it's the parents. I have several of them that were coaches, and when they start out, everything was pretty good, but my little Johnny and Susie should be playing more than yours. And it just, that's part of the problem. I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but that's my take on it.
Supervisor Banks?
To play on the mental health issue that Supervisor Ramon brought up, is there any effort to get mental health people into the elementary and junior and senior high schools, training specifically at Eau Claire or other universities, not to teach, but to just help people with mental issues?
So we do have a school psychologist program. I mean, that's part of one of the programs that we offer at UW-Eau Claire. I do know in the legislature it's being hotly debated with the governor and the legislature about the need to get more mental health into the school districts themselves. The earlier that can be addressed, the better society is. So I'm not here lobbying for you to have a position on that, but I would encourage you to pay attention to the discussion happening in Madison. There's some resources this year. I hope that we can invest in our kids.
Some schools in the area are going into that area, specifically social workers and mental health clinicians.
Yes, both.
Yes.
Thank you.
Chancellor, I can't thank you enough for your efforts. You're really doing a great job to help UW-Eau Claire, Barron County, and we do appreciate it.
Well, and I'll be back Thursday for commencement. If you haven't been to a UW-Eau Claire, Barron County commencement, come and visit. It is one of the most moving experiences you will see, and particularly from, we see a number of Somali students, and I love that, you know, they'll bring 10, 15, 20 family members because someone in their family got a college degree. That's a group that believes in the American dream and opportunity, and understanding education can unlock it. So if you're not doing a Thursday night, come on over and enjoy the wonderful evening. Thank you all.
Thank you again. Okay, item number 8, progress on the update on the highway facilities. For our very own Mark Servey.
Well, it's really good to be standing here in front of you instead of being on a cart. So, so if you've driven by, you've seen that the old shop is completely removed now. The old office has the basement that Erickson is working on removing. And then Erickson will continue on. There's about 2 weeks worth of grading work on the site that needs to be completed before they start doing the storm sewer installation. There's a lot of export material off the site, extra dirt that they'll have to truck away, and they want to do the grading prior to doing the storm sewer installation, because otherwise you have to dig deeper to put the storm sewer in. So they want to get it to grade before they put the storm sewer in. If you went by tonight, the IT room, Lance, your IT room has got walls on it now. It's no ceiling, no floor, but it's got walls. So, but they're continuing to work on that. There's three more pieces of precast that have to be set over the entrance to the main shop or main office area, and then all the precast is set on that building. The tentative schedule for completion of the IT room is around the end of July. There's a lot of little stages that have to go in there. You've got, obviously the floor and the roof and the roof system, the trusses. Then you've got the electrical systems, the mechanical systems, the special fire protection stuff that goes in there. And then Lance has to move his equipment in. So he should be able to start moving in there. We're hoping sometime the end of July. Building UH2, the unheated storage on the back of the site. They've got about 40 days of steel erection that is supposed to start this week. And then they're looking at trying to piggyback the other subs into that project as it progresses to try to tighten up the timeline. So for instance, when they get a portion of the roof set, then they can start doing the fire protection room in the corner and get those types of things up. And then once the roof is on, then they can start doing the fire protection in that building also. Looking at sometime late July, early August for completion of that building based on the current schedule. Paving wise, we need Erickson to get the grading done. When the grading is done, they get the gravel on, then our plan would be to come in and put 2 mats of blacktop down. There's 3 layers. We'd put 2 layers down and then let that set for a month or so, and let's see if there's any settling that goes on in the trenches before you put the top mat on so that you have a good smooth top mat. So that's really where we're at. It's exciting to see things progressing and be in the office and be able to look out the front window and see something besides the wall of multicolors, that we saw from the inside for quite a while. It's starting to come together pretty well. So,
Any questions? Thanks, Mark. You did a good job. Okay, item number 9, financial update on the highway facilities project. Jody?
Okay, we're going to take a look at financials through the end of March. I'm sorry, the end of April. Yep. Okay, so as of the end of April, we've had expenditures this year of $465,940. Factoring in other financing sources, which is a little bit of interest that has came in earlier this year, the closeout of the non-bond pot of money, and then with retainage reversal, which is just an audit entry from 2022. As of the end of April, looking at cash balances of just under the 4.6 million, 4,518,345. So out of the 4.6 million, a little over, just almost under 82,000 has been spent. I can tell you as of today, this 81,000 has increased to about 235,000. So we're looking at just a little bit over 4.3 million that we're still holding on to as of today. Any questions?
We are, that group, the Highway Facilities Finance Committee is meeting on a weekly basis now because we want to make sure we get our change orders and any pay appropriations handled quickly so that our vendors feel confident that they're going to be paid on a timely manner, because there are some change orders that are older, and Jody and Mark and the staff at the Highway Department are doing a great job keeping on top of that stuff. So. Any questions? Supervisor Turcott?
Just, so I see a little bit on construction management. Are they showing up, or are they doing it by phone?
When we have our meetings, they're doing it virtually, but I think they have a progress meeting every week, and I think somebody is showing up to that. So when they have a meeting with the vendors and the highway staff, and they do show up for that. And I'm on the email chain, there's emails just about every day going back and forth, so they are engaging and maybe not as fast as we want, but they're engaging us, you know.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, item number 10, zoning ordinance, repealing and recreating one section, amending several sections, and creating sections there of the Barron County Land Use Ordinance. Does anybody have any questions on all the detail that was included in the packet? If not, we got a motion by Supervisor Hanson and a second by Supervisor Guslik. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, let's vote. Okay, that passed by a majority vote, 23 yes, 3 absent. Thank you. 26, what did I say, 20? Okay. Okay, sorry, 26 and 3. Okay, item number 11, zoning ordinance amendment, rezoning the town of Stanley, the Mayo Clinic Health System, Northwest Wisconsin Region, Adams Staff ACS Properties, LLC as agent. Motion for approval? Motion by Supervisor Guslik, seconded by Supervisor Cook. Are there any questions or comments on that zoning ordinance amendment? Okay, seeing none, let's vote. And that motion passed 26 yes and 3 absent. Thank you. Item number 12, resolution authorizing the Barron County Maintenance Director to proceed with contractor bids for the new aging ADRC kitchen located in the Barron County Government Center. I get a motion for that? Motion by Supervisor Cook, seconded by Supervisor Patty Anderson. Does anybody have any questions there? All the applicable motions or resolutions are there we've done in the past, and I think it's progressing rather nicely. Hopefully the bids will be reasonable. So, okay, seeing no questions, we'll vote on that. Again, that passed 26 yes and 3 absent. Thank you. Okay, on to item number 13, resolution authorizing the increase in hourly wage for part-time ADRC and maintenance employees. And this one will take a 2/3 vote, which is 20 people. Motion by Supervisor Heller, seconded by Supervisor Hanson. Supervisor Cook has a question?
Now, just a comment. Came up in exec, and so our minimum pay would be $12. So everyone in the county would get a minimum of $12.
That's how I understand it, Supervisor Cook. That question was asked, and the HR director answered in the affirmative, because we discussed at that meeting the 1065 to 12 for the part-time people out in the who were at the campgrounds, because they went from 875 to 1065 and now to 12. Yep.
Supervisor Patty Anderson.
I just wanted to make a statement, just for future reference, that when I was down in Madison on Tuesday for ADRC, that Bayfield County pays their drivers $16 an hour to keep them from competing with Quick Trip. And I just wanted to let people know that the Meals on Wheels was a big issue down in Madison. And so keeping people on the road delivering and wellness checks and things like that. But just point of interest.
Thank you. Any other questions or concerns? Okay, then let's vote. Again, that passed 26 yes and 3 absent. Thank you. Item number 14, the American Rescue Plan Act, the ARPA expenditures. And I know we had a sheet in our packet. Does anybody have any questions on that? There's no vote. It's just for information. Thank you. And item number 15, a report from our county administrator.
Good evening. The first thing I report on to you is the accounts payable analysis. It's in your packet. This is something that Charlotte does for me every year because I get questions from many of the nonprofit organizations that I talk to, such as Rotary and Lions. And the purpose of this first spreadsheet here, and I'll just hold it up, what it tells you is that 92% of all of our accounts payable checks cut or ACH is cut by the county go to 3 states, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Illinois. So a vast majority of what we spend stays in Wisconsin or in this upper Midwest. When you look at, for example, Georgia, that's probably our first payment on the acid gas removal system. That's why that's a round number. That's where that company came from. So just a couple things there. You'll see some other ones that are amounts like Ohio. That's a lockbox, for example. That's a lockbox for a big corporation, maybe like Amazon or Walmart, where we buy things through them online. When you look at this, you know, it just talks about, this is just good information. Most of the nonprofit organizations that I talk to, they really appreciate seeing this and know where local dollars are spent. Senate Bill 262, I wish Mark Servey was here. This is something that he's been supporting. As you know, you can have open carry alcohol beverage on your ATV and not get pulled over, and there's really no effect on your driver's license. Senate Bill 262 would take that away. If you know today, I believe to date there's been 25 deaths on ATVs and UTVs so far in Wisconsin. Of the 25 deaths, 5 of those where people had no helmets, and a majority of the 25 there was alcohol involved. So this is probably a good progression of where we probably need to go as a state, because there's a lot more people out on ATVs and UTVs than were in the past. I know that I believe the highway commissioners have supported something like this, and the Sheriff's Association is also supportive. I see Chris nodding yes. So that's in process. Wild Rivers Trail signage, as you know, we're $7,302.50 short of getting that done. Talked to the governor's office twice. They are supportive. They're trying to figure out how, either through Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation or WHEDC, if that can get paid, because that would be a great thing to have that brown sign there on the north end of Rice Lake directing people to Wild Rivers Trail. Broughton property, I've talked to Cooper Engineering. We have just an employee who's out on extended medical leave, and then I'll be meeting with them to get some ideas of costs and how to take care of that property effectively. I know it's been discussed about just leaving it as is. Obviously, you can do that, but that is everything I've looked at. Again, that is not the recommendation from the DNR. They want us to do something with it. They don't want to leave it as and replant it. But obviously, it's your decision. You can just leave it as is. Item number 15E, this I gave to the executive as well. I do this because when you see in 3 or 5 years where the Supreme Court comes out and says, hey, Barron County, you have to put in better physical security out at the Justice Center, I don't want you to get caught off guard. Obviously, the Supreme Court cannot demand that we do something, but as with our jail population back in the early 2000s, they can't demand, but they can put pressure on us. I do think in the next 5 years, you'll see something, some type of mandate coming from the Supreme Court. I sit on that committee. I was they were very aware of the shooting of the retired judge, I believe in Waukesha or Kenosha County, and also very aware of the threats against 2 or 3 other judges from retired judges and also judges on the bench. So it's kind of a hot topic around the state, protecting the judges, and especially when people come to court. So again, just a FYI, refunding analysis, there's no way for us to save any money on the debts that we have. This is something we rely on Ehlers and Associates to keep us informed when we can refinance our debt, and we'll just keep an eye on that. That's what I have for updates. My
Okay,
appointments are
just
pretty self.
Before that, Jeff, he didn't put it on there, but he doesn't toot his own horn. He's worked with Senator Tammy Baldwin, and right now the senator we had a WCA webinar today, and they listed, they used to call them earmarks, now they're called discretionary government spending, but Senator Baldwin had Barron County on that list for $4 million. Now, that's a long ways from us getting a check, but it's at least she's advocating that, and she's going to lobby to put it onto the budget. So we got a chance of going after $4 million or getting something anyway. So I appreciate, Jeff, what you're doing.
Right, another thing that we worked on, Brent and I worked with, I notified the Solid Waste Board, we've been working with West Central Regional Planning because there are EPA grants available specifically for what we're doing out here. It's very competitive. We worked on it again today. We'll apply for that. Hopefully, we'll apply for that grant by June 5th. That's an award of anywhere from $200,000 to $2 million. So if the water's parted and we all had drank free Bubble Up and Rainbow Stew, we'd pay for the acid gas removal system with a direct earmark and then this other EPA grant. So thank you for the nice words, but it's something Brent and I are working very hard at because I do feel that what we're doing out there is the right thing. It's a huge reduction in lime that we'd be, and you're talking 25 to 35 years from now before having to replace this. So that's what we're trying to do. On my appointments, I appreciate everybody who's willing. I do want to talk about item 16A, the appointment of Supervisor Efforts, which I fully support. He's willing to serve. We are not putting any money into this grant at all. This is our in-kind to help them expand broadband. I did also interview Preston Pearson, which went really well. It's our way of getting more broadband out to the rural areas of Barron County, and this is a grant that extends from basically from Cumberland to south of Turtle Lake. On the library ones, I've emailed everybody understanding what their fiduciary responsibilities are. We're now paying nearly 50% of the cost of operating municipal libraries. That's why we get these appointments. So I hope you'd go. They meet about once a month. They do meet once a month. If you approve the appointments, I will let all the local librarians know tomorrow and get stuff out to you. That is a paid per diem. Correct? That's our committee.
Correct.
That's a committee. The county board's creating this committee tonight, which I hope you do. And that's a paid per diem, and we want you to go. And any questions on my appointments? And then obviously Carla Potts Schufeltz, that's replaced Laura, who is stepping aside after many years.
Okay.
We take them all as one, too.
Okay.
Correct, John? It's all at one? Yeah.
Okay, can we get a motion to approve all the appointments under item number 16? Motion by Supervisor Buchanan, seconded by Supervisor Rogers. Are there any concerns, questions? If not, then we'll vote. Again, that would pass, 26 yes and 3 absent. Thank you. Item number 17, claims, petitions, and correspondence. We have none. 18, suggestion for future items, Jeff? Or?
I do have some. I just not at the top. A couple of things have come up, but I don't remember. I didn't write them down. I had none when I wrote the update. I really don't have anything pressing right now. No.
Okay. All right. Anything else? Jim? You hit the button wrong, or you want to say?
Just be careful.
Let me figure out my microphone here. Just giving a reminder here that on June 3rd is the dairy breakfast for at Corey and Janelle Picknell's. And if you're not doing anything, you can come and work.
I will be flipping pancakes, and Chris will be taking lessons from me.
And I think Patty Anderson's going to beat them both.
Well, Chris needs all the help he can get.
That's the truth.
All right. If there's nothing else, by unanimous consent, we'll adjourn at 7.